Good morning, and welcome to the Lone Star Weekly Business Hour. Your host, Rick Schissler, is a Silver Fox advisor who personally has over 40 years of experience as a serial entrepreneur. So sit back, pull out your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we join Rick Schissler in his Lone Star Weekly Business Hour.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for this edition of the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and your host for the Weekly Business Hour. Well, you're in the right place if you're a business owner, manager, or you're considering starting your own business, because the Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County comes to talk about the latest in business news, ideas to improve your business, and to hear from some of our own local business leaders on how they have found success right here in Montgomery County. We got a great show this week, so let's get started. First, we'll start with the thought for the week. That's interesting. Then a quick check-in with Dick on the business of Lone Star, and our special guest today is Tom Wooley, founder and CEO of Synergeant. I will offer some ideas on a fallback plan and better hiring practice to round out the show. First, a quick reminder. If you'd like to send some information to me, make a comment, even if you got a business question, then please email it to me. Rick, R-I-C-K, at irlonestar.com. I'll respond to your questions, and I appreciate your input. Well, let's get to that thought for the week. What is your fallback plan when your communication system is disrupted? Well, a quick quote from General George S. Patton. If everybody is thinking alike, then somebody is not thinking. I found that very interesting and philosophical. And when it comes to communications, we all need to be thinking. The world is a fast-paced place these days, as you know, and communication systems, communication methods are changing dramatically. But I want to talk about specifically what is your fallback plan when your communication system is disrupted. Well, communications, that's what you do every day when you talk to people. Whether you do it on a phone, you send a text message, you send an email. There's just literally hundreds of ways to communicate with people. And what is a disruption? Well, a typical disruption is your system goes down. Something interferes with your system. It could be as simple as your iPhone breaks, or as complicated as a disaster, such as hurricane, sweeps through the area and all the systems are down and you're unable to communicate. I think it's very important in business to stay in touch with your customers, with your vendors, with your employees. And oftentimes I found businesses are not set up. They have not done any real thinking or particularly some planning to how they're going to handle a disruption, particularly a major disruption such as a storm, a fire, or other type of disaster. So my first question is, what is your current plan? Do you have a plan? You need to have a plan in place to handle a disruption. Some people call it disaster recovery. But you need to have a way to communicate with the three groups of people I mentioned, your employees, your customers, your vendors. You've got to keep your business in business. Now, I realize that if you have a major disaster such as a hurricane and everybody's business is down, then it's difficult. But many businesses require, because of the nature of the business, they are required to stay in touch with people. You can find yourself quickly out of business if a disaster touches your business and you're not ready to respond. My second point is keep it up to date. As I mentioned early in this talk, that technology, communications, they're changing so quickly. Almost it seems like every 24 hours. Make sure your system is up to date. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go out and get the latest and greatest. In fact, I'm an advocate kind of in the other direction. Find what works for you and what works for your employees and what works for your customers and your vendors, and stick with it. But always, always be aware of new technologies, because technology, the bottom line is, this is a new direction and opportunity, as I call it. Technology changes are bringing reduced cost and greater reliability. And what can be more important in a disaster than reliability? Hurricane season's upon us here in the Gulf Coast area, and this is when people talk about disaster, when they talk about how to recover, how to communicate during a disaster and right after the disaster passes. So it's a great time to start thinking about it if you haven't already done so. Don't get caught short. In particular, don't let your business get caught short and leave you outside with the disaster. A quick reminder, we're on Facebook, so please like us on Facebook at the Weekly Business Hour. As my guest Tom Wooley reminded me earlier, you can put it on your phone so it automatically updates or alerts you when we post a new show. And that's the reason to go to the Weekly Business Hour primarily, is that you can pick up each new show in the podcast that'll be located. Well, now let's check in on the business right here at Lone Star. Dick, what is on tap for Lone Star this coming week?
We are actually currently doing a stress test for our Conroe number 106.1, so keep your dials open for the announcement coming in the first part of September for our first additional signal, 106.1 for Conroe's FM, and of course following in the month of October is 104.5, and soon Lone Star Community Radio will be broadcasting online and worldwide, and also on Conroe's FM, 104.5, 106.1 this upcoming month.
Well, that's exciting news, and as I've talked about on the show before, what a great time in the life of a business then to be stepping up to the next level. And we'll be staying in touch with Dick as they move into the FM broadcast band, but continuing, of course, to be available over the internet through their website. Well, let's get to the best part of the show. At least I always say it's the best, and it is the best. And that's when we talk live with a special guest, a business person from here in the Montgomery County area. And today we're so blessed to have Tom Wooley, founder and CEO of Synergeant, with us. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm happy you're able to join us, Tom. You've got an interesting business, an interesting business model. But before we get to that, just fill in our listeners a little bit on your business background and what made you start Synergeant.
Well, it's a pleasure to hear somebody call accounting is interesting, but after finishing my MBA, quick background is I spent 5 years in working for a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company, and then I moved here to the Magnolia area working for oil and gas, and along my journey spent a lot of time putting together major platforms for these companies that handle their accounting, bookkeeping, and business practices. And during that time, had a lot of friends that were doing small businesses and struggling with a lot of the processes and procedures that we were building for larger Fortune 500 companies. So I decided to take advantage of some of the latest technologies and what's available out there with cloud computing now and try to make their lives a lot easier and save them some hassle.
Well, you know, it's interesting, and I find this cloud, and we'll just kind of work our way into it. You know, you posted a blog recently on your website that I read in preparation for the show called The Accounting Revolution, and regarding cloud-based bookkeeping. I assume that most, if not all, our listeners have heard about the cloud, as it's called. Explain to us, what is cloud-based bookkeeping all about?
Well, Synergeant is sparking the accounting revolution, and cloud-based bookkeeping is how we're doing it. These software platforms that are web-based are really revolutionizing the landscape for what's available to small businesses. So what used to cost millions of dollars with Oracle and Hyperion and some of these big-name software platforms, we're seeing these smaller startup companies that are going to cloud-based, which is extremely powerful, easy to use, and very cost-effective to implement for small business owners. It's really putting a lot of those high-powered technologies in the hands of small business accounting, letting them analyze their books unlike ever before and grow their business much more efficiently.
Okay, so you mentioned several advantages, ability to grow more efficiently, putting some great tools, big company tools in the hands of small business,
right,
which I think is a good thing to do as long as you can scale it down. What are some of the other advantages and disadvantages, really, of cloud-based bookkeeping?
Well, let's talk about the preparedness that you kicked off the show with. With cloud-based accounting, there's no need for backing up or redundancies. Whenever your data is secured in the cloud, and also it gives you the opportunity to have real-time data, which in contrast to the traditional accounting relationship where we have to do backups and transfer data from a platform like QuickBooks Desktop, the cloud lets our clients and us work on the exact same set of books in real time to give the business owner actionable data a lot quicker than they had in the past.
Well, you know, and I think that's one of the real advantage of the cloud to me. Well, and there are many, but is the ability that my data, in this case accounting, but you know, one of the disadvantages that I've had, or at least people represented such, is the security on the cloud. Where's the security issue stand as far as using the cloud as my primary depository, in this case of my accounting information?
security is definitely an issue. Right now, we're seeing a lot of hacking and identity theft going on in the digital world in general. The software platforms that we work with use bank-level encryption to help deter this, but it's always a great idea to use a complex password, which we encourage all of our clients to do. A capital letter, alphanumeric, special characters, all of those things will help you protect your online identity. Like I said, the bank level encryption really helps. It keeps your data secure. But one really critical thing that Synergeant does is we carry cybersecurity insurance and coverage, which is something that you should always ask to see if your accountant or bookkeeper is carrying to help protect you in the event that there is a data breach. With the technologies these days, our information is everywhere. It's being passed around hundreds of times a day. So really, diligence in keeping your passwords and your online identity protected. Shred everything, never throw anything in the trash can, and go with a company that is also taking those same precautions to protect your personal information.
Well, you offer some great points about how to protect yourself and how to take advantage of the cloud. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to that point where I need to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Tom a little bit more about cloud-based computing and also some additional advantages that his company offers in that area. So please stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
Tailorized PR works exclusively to get your business noticed. Public relations is how others perceive you and your company. By tailorizing the marketing strategy exclusively to your business, your story is told. Tailorized PR services include networking, social media, blogs, press releases, public appearances, and event planning. To learn about Tailorized PR, call Margie Taylor at 936-828-6881 or visit the website at tailorizedpr.com. My business is tailored to yours.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schissler, Silver Fox Advisor and your host for the show. And today we're blessed to have Tom Wooley, founder and CEO of Synergeant, in the studio and talking to us about cloud-based computing, a new opportunity out there for the small business community to connect with accounting that might just be much more beneficial than the old model of accounting. And I want to start off with that, Tom, if I can, in this segment, and ask you what really makes your firm and business model different from your competition?
Thanks, Rick. I really love that question. And personality and our involvement is really what sets us apart from our competitors and the other players in the industry. So Synergeant wants to be part of your business, and we want to get to know how our services can help you. Unlike the traditional relationship where we pick up your files and then we close your books and let you know how your month did, we encourage multiple points of contact throughout the month so that we can be an ongoing resource for how to help your business grow. Since we push the real-time data concept, business owners really need to know on an ongoing basis, how can I grow my business? How do I make sound business decisions with the financial data that I have? So we use that real-time information and that real-time relationship to help you on a day-to-day basis.
Well, and that's something I've found in my practice when I consult and mentor businesses. And believe it or not, I find people that, business people that are in small businesses, in some cases, not so much in startups, it's interesting, but more mature businesses. And if they don't have a loan, a bank loan, or anybody they're accountable to for their numbers, a lot of times they're just not that up to date on what their numbers are, if you will, numbers, financial statements, monthly, quarterly, whatever. And it always kind of takes my breath away a little bit, because I think if you're growing a business, you're trying to build a business, or even just maintain what you got to kind of stay in touch with your numbers. And I think that's interesting. That's one of the real strengths I found as I studied your business model, was the ability to get information. If I want it, it's available. You don't seem to cram it down people's throat, but is good financial reporting. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, flying blind, like you said, is never a great idea. So we talk to so many business owners and we say, how do you know that you're making money? And they tell us, well, there's money in my bank account at the end of the month. So the financial reporting side is really focused on education and empowerment for the business owner. So your balance sheet, your income statement, and your cash flow are three critical reports that we really work with the educational side to teach business owners how to understand those powerful reports and what it means for their business. There's also, with our software, a huge range of other reports that you can run, such as your AR aging report and your upcoming payables. And we work with business owners to find the reports that are right for them, customize them to help them keep any tabs on their business in specific areas that they're looking to focus on, and really help them get that transparency and visibility about what their company is doing, what their expenses are looking like, and more importantly, how they're trending month over month, quarter over quarter, and annually.
Well, and again, not to be repetitive, but I think that's critical information, and recognizing that every individual business, and every industry has sometimes different sets of what I call critical numbers.
Right.
But your ability to customize it is a real plus, isn't it?
It is, yes. We can really drill down and focus on what's important for that specific business, and that's part of our relationship building.
Well, and that's to me also one of the advantages indirectly of using a cloud-based system is your ability to perform and get that done very quickly.
Right, and since we are working with the exact same set of books and software that the client is in real time, they can go online and print any of their reports at any time. It doesn't have to be monthly. It can be weekly if they want to, but those reports are always there and on demand.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important, and folks need to understand that the information is there if you want it. If you don't, it's not. And again, it always surprises me to find businesses that really don't have a sense of their numbers, and almost like, well, it's there, but it didn't. But without the numbers, how do you run the business? Again, if you're only trying to maintain a business, how do you run a business without good numbers?
Right.
Very interesting. Very interesting. One of the things you do that I thought was interesting in the area of pricing is you offer some packages, according to your website, different packages of bookkeeping, financial reporting, even financial advising. Mm-hmm. Almost seemed like I was looking at a CFO offer there. Tell us a little bit about that concept.
Well, the package concept is something that we've worked up to help businesses from all different ranges make accounting and bookkeeping services affordable. So our lowest packages start for basic startups who need that resource to ask questions that come up, like how do I pay myself, how do I pay my employees, all the way up to what you would refer to as the virtual CFO services, where your company has 10 to 15 employees or more. They're working on a lot of different services, a lot of moving parts that need help. And where a CFO would generally step in and organize those processes and put the procedures in place to make you very efficient, that's what we focus on. So the package concept allows you to use kind of a modular system to determine what softwares you want, what services that you need. And the big thing is, by using these package services, we keep your monthly fees predictable. So no small business owner likes to hear, I have no idea what your bill is going to be at the end of the month until we're done. So we solve that problem by letting them know what their costs for our services are going to be upfront, and those costs don't change from month to month without their services. When I had a really good friend of mine that was doing a manufacturing company here in Conroe, and one of his biggest sources of anxiety that prevented him from using his financial advisors and bookkeepers was the surprise bill. He couldn't afford to get a $1,500 bill at the end of the month, so he told me that discouraged him from using their services that he knew could have helped him. So our packages really help solve that problem by making your accounting costs predictable every month.
You make a great point, because that is one of the things I run into, not just in small business. It's sort of a personal thing. You're billing me on a fixed basis, which is what you do, a determinable amount I can determine, but versus the old hourly model.
Right.
And like you say, boy, the apprehension level, even personally, can be awful high when that happens.
Well, and if you have a question and you know it's going to be billed hourly, but it only takes 10 minutes to ask the question, that's something that discourages a client from picking up the phone, and that's what we don't want. We want to hear from you. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, so please pick up the phone, send the email, whatever it takes, and it's included in your package.
Well, this is a pricing setup and process that I think could fit other businesses, particularly in the service industry, and one that I encourage people to look at if they have a service business, some variation of it. I think it's a wonderful idea. One of the things that you do in your business that I admire a lot, and I encourage people on the show, is you've gotten involved in the community through your business. You're involved with an organization called Love Fosters Hope. Tell us a little bit of why you got involved as a business in the community and what it's done for you and your business.
Well, Rick, I just feel personally that it's so important for local businesses to be involved in the community and pick something, a cause that they feel very strongly in. And Synergeant has picked Love Fosters Hope because fostering is something that my wife and I have been very interested in the past, and we would like to support that community and those in that community that work so hard to take care of these children. So we do partner up with Love Fosters Hope and participate in their events and donate part of our monthly profits to support such a worthy cause.
Again, I think I congratulate you and all businesses that pick up this idea and make it part of the foundation of their business. I think it's important that we all get involved and really make it a part of what we do in our business. Well, Tom, I really appreciate you coming in. This cloud-based accounting, I think it's something's here. I think every small business should take a look at it. I know you've got a special event coming up soon. Do you want to tell the folks about it real quick?
We do. On September 23rd at 6:30, we're going to have our ribbon cutting with the North Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We're located at 1010 South Magnolia Boulevard out in Magnolia, Texas, off of 1774. And we encourage all small business owners to come by, say hello. We're really looking forward to meeting the community. We're going to have some raffle drawings, and bring your accounting questions with you. We're going to have the whole staff there, and really just looking for that open dialogue with the local community.
Well, let me ask you this, and that's an event. If you live and work or have your business in that area, I would encourage you to go by. I'm also personally a member of the North Houston Hispanic Chamber. It's a great chamber, and we encourage you to consider that to be one of your memberships if you're listening and have a business here in Montgomery County. Tom, if people want to find out more about cloud-based accounting or more about your firm, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, they can call our office directly at 832-612-3925. They can also find us online at www.synergeant.com. That's www.synergeant.com.
Well, Tom Wooley of Synergeant, I think you've onto something, and I hope people will reach out and talk to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our break, and when we come back, we have another guest joining us, one of my fellow Silver Fox advisors, to talk to us. Melvin Maltz is going to talk to us about special benefits that are available to you in your business. So please stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Are you planning on growing, expanding, or possibly selling your business? All of these business opportunities require developing strategies and setting goals in order to achieve success. Providing specialized consulting in these and other key business decisions is what Silver Fox Advisors have been doing since 1986. Let us help you today. Call us at 713-343-3718. It might be the most profitable call that you ever make.
Running a business is hard. Pressure to maximize profits and minimize loss continue to grow. Schooley Mitchell of Houston can help. Their independent consultants will ensure you are receiving the best communications and credit card processing services at the best prices. Most importantly, their services are completely risk-free. If they don't find savings for you, there is no fee. Contact Schooley Mitchell of Houston today to find out. Call 832-314-1815 or visit their website at schooleymitchell.com/JM-Polio.
This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and your host for the Weekly Business Hour. This is the part of the show where we invite experts in particular fields of interest and need in business to come on and talk to us a little bit about their expertise and hopefully give you some ideas and some thought about areas of your business that might be improved. And today I'm so pleased to welcome a good friend of mine, a fellow Silver Fox advisor, Melvin Maltz, to the show. Melvin is with the Lone Star Advisory Group and works particularly in the area of special insurance products, life insurance and benefit products that can help you with your employees and employee retention. Melvin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick. I'm glad to be here.
Melvin, you've got a great deal of experience, business experience, and I'd like you to just take a moment and share with the audience what's your business background and what kind of experience you bring to the table when someone's talking to you about the products that you offer.
Well, quickly, some years back, I started in customer service at a wholesale paper company and gradually evolved into managing the folding paper box department. A few years later, a partner and I joined together and spun off two companies from that one. One made low temperature insulation. The other was the folding paper box division. We operated those until 1986 when they were sold, and I started looking for something to do and got into life insurance. After that, the history is there. I managed to be a life member of the $1 Million Roundtable and work with business owners in the area of simplified or specialized employee pension plans, employee retention, and lately working with HIV patients and getting specialized life insurance for them.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. You bring an amazing amount of background and experience, and I think that's so important when you're talking to a client, potential purchaser of these kinds of products, that they know that you've been there, you've done it, you've owned a business, you've run a business, managed a business, and been in the industry a long time. So to me, you're a very special kind of expert, if you will, in that area. Well, let's talk about some of the things that particularly I wanted you to bring to our listeners today. The first one is key person retention benefits. Share with us a little bit about what's available today in the marketplace to help us who are business owners retain key people.
Well, this started out many years back when people had pension plans and they were taking care of all employees, including themselves. That was a wonderful advent for most of the employees at that time. Gradually in recent years, the trend has changed to using 401k plans, which is a payroll deduction opportunity for the employee, as well as having a match of that deposit into the 401k plan by the employer. That works successfully, but it puts everybody in the plan on an equal basis. And that's what the government really wants, and that's the most fair way. However, there also are those key employees who the employer doesn't want to leave his business, and there are specialized opportunities to do something for him on a selective basis. It's not anything new. It's been used and approved for many years, and I have done many cases like that. And in some cases, I've seen it done where the life insurance was structured in the wrong way, and all they did was increase taxes instead of reducing them. So there's an opportunity to look for the employer into a plan for his key employees, and he should never forget that he is one of the most key employees in that business. So we work with both the employer and the key employee who he would prefer having something special in addition to the 401k plan.
Well, one of the objections I hear when I am counseling or mentoring with clients and I encourage them to look at their benefits, one of the objections I hear these days is it's so complicated. There's so many rules. I don't want to get into trouble with the government if I offer something. Even the 401k area, there's a certain reluctance. What's your advice to these people?
Well, the 401k is the easiest one, and yes, it's difficult, and it's getting more difficult to administer all the time because new regulations come out to be sure that everything is done on an equal basis for all employees who want to participate. The program that I call a SERP, or Simplified Employee Retirement Plan, does involve an agreement between the employer and the employee on certain qualifications for the person to receive this benefit. One of which is that should he leave, the benefit does not leave with him, the employer retains it. So it's an incentive, in effect, a type of golden handcuff, but if there's no agreement between the parties, there's never going to be anything done. So it's usually done for an employee who's been there a number of years, who the employer might consider as a future buyer of his business if he doesn't have an employee, family member who is interested, or it's done for a key employee who the family who will take over eventually would like to remain and guide the new members of the business. So it's a simplified plan, a simplified agreement, and it can be done, should not be done on a handshake, but it should be a written document that both parties have and entered into the minutes of a board of directors meeting of that particular employer. And one of the key parts is that I have found is that many business owners are incorporated either as an S corp or a C corporation, and just stop and don't remember to have the annual board of directors meetings that are basically required. So this also brings to mind that requirement, and it's a very simplified meeting and can be held in the company offices. It does not have to be anything fancy or in an outside influence or anything. So it's really a basic agreement between the employee and the employer, that key person who wants to remain and the employer wants that person to remain. It can be, of course, either male or female.
Well, and also I think what you've explained, or that I picked up, and I hope our listeners did as well, that when you decide that you want to do something, and the simplified plan, I believe, like you say, is a lot simpler, or at least easier to understand, is that you really need to find someone like yourself that is an expert, that's just not selling product, but that can walk people through the steps they need to go through internally to properly implement these kinds of programs.
Well, that's true, and it's certainly I would enjoy working with anybody who would like to call me, but at the same time there are others who are available and can do the same thing because the program is not really new. There are changes every year, but they basically do not involve changes to the agreement. And that's the beauty part, that once it's in place, it stays in place.
Yeah, that's something I picked, and a lot of us don't understand. It's like any investment. You have to do some work at first to determine it's a good investment, whether it be in equipment or stocks or anything. Then once it's set up, it's working and it's there, in this case, serving its purpose, hopefully to help retain a good employee. Well, let me ask you another question I get from clients, which I don't represent any of these type of products or do anything, but I often try to advise my clients on seeking out these kinds of programs, particularly as they grow and they have more employees. Once the money starts to accumulate in the account, who's in charge of the investments? I mean, who takes responsibility to determine what investments are typically made?
Well, that's set up to start with, and an agreement between the employee and the employer and how it's supposed to be handled. This plan works best using life insurance because it can be written so that the employee can have long-term care or nursing home as one of the components of agreement. The plan can be written that in the event of his death, his family gets the benefit. There can be some vesting privileges if it's so desired, but the control generally stays with the employer. But the employee really is the ultimate beneficiary or his family. So there is a death benefit for the family in the event the employee dies too soon, and there's also a benefit to the employer should that employee die too soon. So we try to structure it to be fair to both the employee, the employee's family, and to the employer for doing it. And one of the sections that I do emphasize today is this can be a disability or a long-term illness or terminal illness plan, all combined into one, should they so desire.
Well, the one thing I picked up today as we kind of wind down this segment is there really is a great deal of flexibility in setting these things up, and people don't need to be afraid of them in their businesses. They just need to find the right person. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I think it's a fair statement, and being fair, consultation between the person who's going to work the plan, the employer first, and then once there's agreement that the employer would like to do it, then we bring in the employee and proceed with the program. But there's got to be agreements between the parties, or it's never going to work, and that has to start right at the beginning.
Well, you've made some wonderful points today, Melvin. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to join us and talk about some of these specialized retention benefit products that are available. If people would like to get more information or talk to you about their needs and their business, what's the best way for them to contact you?
The best way is to phone me or email. My phone number is 713-291-6343. And the email is melmaltz, MELMALTZ, @AOL.com. There's also a link on the Silver Fox webpage if they'd like to review that also.
Yeah, I need to remind people you can connect with Melvin by going to silverfox.org and click on Associates, and he's there. Melvin, again, thank you so much for bringing your experience and information to us today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our final break for the day. When we come back, I'm going to offer the Silver Fox Advisors Tip of the Week, so please stay with us.
Are you paying too much for your personal or business insurance? Patricia Cooper Insurance on FM 1488 and Tamina Road is an independent agency that can shop multiple carriers to find the best rates and coverages to fit your specific needs. Call us today at 281-356-9955 and let us go to work for you. Patricia Cooper Insurance, where our customers are treated like family.
You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the Weekly Business Hour. We're in the fourth segment today where I bring forth my idea or Silver Fox Tip of the Week, hopefully a concept or an idea that will help you in your business starting today. But before I get to that, a reminder that this show is saved in a podcast, and it's available to you 2 or 3 days after the live show. So if you missed any of the earlier parts of the show, you can always go to the webpage, irlonestar.com, and click on the Weekly Business Hour, and it's posted there. But also it's posted on Facebook at the Weekly Business Hour page. I encourage you to like that page so you can stay in touch with the Weekly Business Hour. Well, let's talk about the Silver Fox Advisor Tip of the Week. About employees. You know, I talk about employees on the show quite a bit, how to hire them, how to fire them, how to retain them. And I would like to talk a little bit about a retention area I really haven't touched on in the retention area, and that is reasons that your best employees. Now, I'm going to focus in on your best employees, not your average employee, not your worst employee, but why do your best employees quit, even when they like their job? So I'm really drilling down on this one because we all, if we have employees, always have the best employee and then down the list the worst employee. I mean, reality is that you can make a list if you sit down and think about it from best to worst. That's just the way it is. So we have some good employees or a good employee, and all of a sudden they up and quit. Let's talk about some of the reasons that they may quit their job that you might not be aware of and that you might be able to do something very simple. We just spoke with Melvin Maltz, who's an expert in the area of employee retention benefits. There's always that area that you can look at and the benefits that you offer, but let's talk about some other things that happen every day that maybe just an adjustment in the way you do business internally with your employees that you could change and have a much better chance to retain these good employees, these great employees who are really a key to your success in your business. The first one is stagnation. I mean, good people want to always feel like they're moving forward, that they're growing in their job. Now, this doesn't mean they won't stay with you for 20, 30 years and they work in the manufacturing part, say, as a machine operator or even someone who just sweeps up. If they're a really good employee, it doesn't matter at what level they work, at what job they work, they're a good employee, and therefore they're an asset to your business, and you want to do the things that will keep them on the job. And one of the things that drives people away or causes them to leave a job is that they get bored, they're unhappy, They become resentful because they don't feel like they're appreciated. Their job is stagnated. They're not moving forward in their job. One of the things I use at every level when I have a business of my own, or when I did have businesses, was what I called a career ladder. And I always had a career ladder that we reviewed at least annually, in some jobs, particularly with new employees, more often quarterly in that case, to make sure people knew this is where your opportunity lies. And if you choose to continue to move up the ladder, find that level in the company that works best for you, then we'll work with you and get you there. But people always knew at our companies that they had the opportunity to move up. Second area that I think is absolutely overlooked with your best employees, and that's overwork. I mean, it's only natural that we will give more work to the people that are our best people because we feel we can trust them, we're more comfortable with them. We know they're going to get the job done with as little supervision as possible. So we have a tendency to put more work on those people, on the best people. And after a while, if you don't recognize their work through promotions, raises, and other kinds of recognition, these people are going to get tired. Now, at some point, you can give someone obviously too much work, and you're just going to wear them out. You're just going to absolutely burn them out. But the reality is you've got to determine at what level, when you communicate with the employee, particularly when you sit down with them annually or more often, that they want to be. Where are they on that career ladder? Or whatever advancement program you have in place, where are they? And do they want more work? Do they want the challenge that comes with more work? But the bottom line is, if you're going to feed the work to your best employees, then you better have, running parallel with it, a program or process involved where they get raises, they get recognition, they get bonuses, they know that they are being appreciated. Third thing, and I think this is very interesting, in a lot of small businesses, at least in my experience, and I've been guilty of this when I first started in small business, don't have a clear vision of what the business is all about. And I think vision is important, whether you're the only employee, you own the place you work, or whether you have 100 employees or 1,000 employees. A company has to have a vision. Yes, the big companies, the big corporations have visions. They put out all kinds of marketing material, communication material about their vision and this and that. But I'm talking about small business. We've got to have a vision. I mean, nothing can be more frustrating for an employee than a workplace filled with visions and big dreams, but no translation of that into goals, and that things are moving forward and what needs to happen to make things move forward. Even with the guy that sweeps up, if that's the lowest paying job you have, they need to understand is their responsibility and how important it is that they maintain the facility in a manner that allows for a better workplace, allows for potentially customers that come into the workplace, depending on the kind of business. It's so important for us to have a vision, to share the vision, and then show that we're implementing. The best people will want to work for the best companies. That's the bottom line. Everybody says that, but again, I unfortunately find very few that have aspirations to have a best company actually implement the kind of things. And again, this is not complicated. It's not hard to do. It's almost a day-to-day thing, part of what you do, but you got to do it. Because again, best people want to work at the best places. I've seen people even take less money because they want to work at what I determine is call a best place. Fourth one, and this is one we've heard stories about over the years, and that's profits versus people. You know, some businesses are all in it for the profit. They don't really consider the people. Well, to me, it's not a profit versus people equation. You make the profits to a certain extent, probably to the largest extent, depending on the type of business you have, due to the people you have in place. And the better the people you have, the better the employees you have, then you're going to make more money with those people. But a lot of times businesses lose sight of this. And what happens, the best people go elsewhere. They leave the business. And what's left for you in your business are the mediocre people, people further down that list I talked about in the beginning of the segment. And what's that going to do to your profit? Always have to have a balance. You always have to have a balance of people versus the profit in your business. Talked about earlier recognition. To me, this is one of the simplest things you can do is recognize people. Starts with saying thank you to people and meaning it, all the way up to raises, bonuses, benefits. But there are lots of places in between that really don't cost a lot of money that you can recognize people with. You can let their fellow employees know that they're doing a great job. You can let their family know that they're appreciated. And none of these cost a lot of money. And I encourage you to look into areas where you, on a consistent basis, can recognize your people and let them know, their fellow employees, and also their families know that they're respected and they're doing a good job. Lastly, I want to touch on one, and that's about trust. What kind of trust do your employees have in you and your business? Do they trust your business? Well, one of the things a lot of us forget is, our employees are always watching us. I was taught this at a very early age in a family business. And if you are operating in a manner that's not appearing trustworthy, then what's going to happen? The same thing as I mentioned earlier. Best people are going to leave. If they don't feel they can trust you, they're going to leave. And worse is the ones that are left are going to emulate you, which will start destroying your business from inside. So it's important that when you deal with vendors, when you're working with stakeholders, when you're working with clients, when you're working with employees, be sure you do it in an ethical manner. Show people, the people who work for you, that you're trustworthy. It's very, very important that you show that as you go through the steps of building a great business. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you joining us this week. We're going to put another show in the book. Again, the podcast will be available in several days, so you can always check it out and re-listen to it. Appreciate you liking us at our Facebook page at the Weekly Business Hour. I want to give a big Lone Star thanks to our sponsors, Patricia Cooper Insurance, Wooley Mitchell, Taylorized PR, and the Silver Fox Advisors. And remember, you too can become a sponsor of the Weekly Business Hour. Contact me, Rick, at irlonestar.com for details. Until next week, 11 o'clock, same place, same time, stay engaged this week and keep your focus on what counts in your business.
Thanks for checking out this production on Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's radio station. For more information on this show and other shows on Lone Star, check us out online at irlonestar.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a program on Lone Star Community Radio and reaching the local audience of Montgomery County on FM, internet, and TV media, please call 936-647-5747 or contact us online at irlonestar.com. This recording is a Lone Star Community Radio production, produced by the show host and Dick Schissler of Lone Star Community Radio. Interested in volunteering as a music DJ or starting your own talk show? Contact Dick Schissler at dick@irlonestar.com or by phone at 936-647-5747.